What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here, PackersNews.com, late Wednesday afternoon. Not a whole lot of Packers news coming down the wire, but thought I'd jump on, see what's on your minds. Always ready to talk some Packers. NFL Network reporting that Mo Wilkerson did make it into Green Bay. He's having dinner with the Packers brass tonight. Has his actual meeting with the team tomorrow. So obviously that's been pushed off one day. I'm sure I'll get asked about 100 times. But we can get past that and talk about whatever else you want to talk about. Justin, what's up? Mike, how are you? Richard Sherman, yes, that definitely is in the news. Coming out this afternoon that the Seahawks are preparing to move on from Richard Sherman, potentially looking for trade possibilities. If they don't find a suitor, it's possible that they cut him. It's also possible that they bring him back on a reduced salary, although it does seem like they are ready to cut ties. I tend to doubt the Packers would get in on that. He's due $11 million next year. He's coming off 2 Achilles surgeries, 1 on each leg. It's a lot of money for an older veteran that not ready to say he's lost a step on the downside of his career, what have you, but he's certainly not the guy who helped the Seahawks get to back-to-back Super Bowls. Still think he's a very good player. Still think he can help a team. I just don't see it in Green Bay at $11 million per year, or for 1 year. Latest on Wilkerson, Christopher, as I just said, he got into Green Bay. He's having dinner with the Packers tonight. He'll be meeting, his official meeting with the brass is tomorrow. Let's see, if Will is signed, do we draft Davenport still? Possibly, yes, absolutely. I don't think signing Mo Wilkerson precludes them from any other moves in the draft. Wilkerson would definitely be a good signing, I think. It would help their defensive line, but the draft is all about investing in the future. Wilkerson is very much a short-term prospect. Thanks for the update. You're welcome. No problem. That's what I do. I sit here and I talk to you fine folks every day. Who backs up Rodgers? Need a veteran. Your thoughts, Doug? I think it'll be some kind of combination of a rookie who's drafted, a veteran most likely brought in through free agency, although it really depends on who's available. We've talked about it a lot here. No guy who has a shot of going into a camp and competing for a starting job is going to give Green Bay the time of day because Aaron Rodgers is there and they're not going to have a chance to play. But guys who know where they are pecking order-wise, maybe on the downside of their NFL career, somebody like Ryan Fitzpatrick, they would make sense. Now, whoever this is, whether it's a draft pick or a veteran, they're going to compete with Brett Hundley. I don't think Hundley's out the door just yet. He's on the last year of his rookie deal, which means he's dirt cheap, and he knows the system. They know that they can get through games with him. So I think they'll push him. They'll want him to compete, and it'll be a question of who wins that competition this summer. How's the snow? Kevin, coming down like gangbusters now. It was pretty weak all day, but it's really picked up here in New York in the last hour or so. Do you think Elliott Wolf being on the Browns will have any effect on our draft? There's always a possibility that he may know something about who Brian likes, or who one of the guys on their staff likes, or something like that, and therefore may have the idea, we got to jump up and get this guy if we want him because I know Brian likes them. That's going to be a very, very kind of finite possibility, though. I don't see that being the driving force in so much as Elliott's not even in charge of their draft. That's John Dorsey. Now, is he going to give that information to Dorsey? Sure, of course he is. But you got to remember, they hadn't even set their board yet when Elliott and Alonso made the jump. So I do not doubt that they've talked about players. He has some kind of knowledge of who the guys in the building like. But that works both ways. Brian and the guys, Wojo and those guys, they're going to have an idea of who Elliott and Alonso like. So there's a little bit there, but not enough to, quote-unquote, like screw up their draft or anything. Thought we had $20 million in cap space. Now it's 15. Well, the cap number did come in about $1 million less than I think people were projecting. You got to remember that when people were bandying about 20 million, all that is guesswork. Now that we actually have a cap number to work with and we have a really good idea of the contracts, we can kind of zero in and see what it get closer to what it actually is. The NFLPA puts their own number out there, and even that's not 100% perfect. So I've seen estimates between 15, 16, and 17. It really depends on who you're talking to. The only one who really knows is Russ Ball. So, but yeah, they're hovering around there, and they'll probably need to make some moves, most likely with restructurings to gain a little bit more space. Do you think Vince Beagle can take a big jump this year? Yes, I do. I was actually watching cut-ups of his this morning, and it's so clear that he desperately needs an off-season. He missed everything last year, getting hurt early in that rookie camp, never got on track until late in the year, and by then he'd missed everything, basically. All kind of on-field work that he got last year was done in-game. So, yeah, I think he can make a big jump, and I think if he doesn't, and if it's not noticeable, they may have a big mistake on their hands. But, you can't judge anything until we see him in a full off-season, see him in now a new system, and, give him kind of a fighting chance, because he didn't have one last year. Any chance that Pat goes after Sherman? Dan talked about that a little bit ago. I'd be very surprised. He's going into the last year of his deal, which is set to pay him $11 million. I don't see the Packers trading for that. Bradford should be a better backup than Hundley. I tend to agree, but that's kind of one of those guys I'm talking about when I'm talking about guys who are going to probably look for a place where they can compete for a starting job. That's not going to be in Green Bay. Are you growing the beard for free agency? No, I'm growing the beard for my wife. She complained about my baby face, and now she wants me to grow my beard again. So, happy wife, happy life, right? Mike Hughes or Vita Vea? Whew, Vince, that's a tough one. I like Hughes' tape. He comes in just under the Ron Wolf physical threshold, though, for height. With his measuring in at the combine at 5'10 and 1/8, and the Wolf cutoff is 5'10 and a half. So I got to go with Vita Vea. Cobb, Nelson, Matthews restructuring, cutting Bulaga. I think all those are possibilities. One or all or anything in between could happen there. But those are definitely the kinds of things that Gutekunst and Ball will be looking at when trying to work out how to get a little bit more cap room. Your wife's a smart woman. Yeah, it's not just because of that either. When does the legal tampering period start? Well, free agency starts at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. It's 48 hours prior to that. So, Sunday afternoon. Excuse me. Mitch Trubisky or Lamar Jackson? Whew, that's a choice. Give me Lamar Jackson. Much more explosive player. Now, I think Trubisky's going to be a very good quarterback, but I think Lamar's a special talent. Is King's shoulder ever going to be okay? Apparently. All the reports out of the surgery were good. Kevin King looks like he's having a great offseason. We'll see. Only time will tell. No one fears Seattle anymore. Well, let's see what happens this offseason. Let's see how they reconstitute their defense. Remember, the new league year hasn't even started yet. And last year, they were not the team they have been, but they still won 9 games. And that's with a team that was completely decimated by injury. So, I think reports of their demise are greatly exaggerated. Most likely landing spots for Sherman. I mean, I hate to say the obvious, but I think he has New England written all over it. How are the Packers able to talk to Wilkerson if it's no 48 hours before the legal tampering period? Because he is a vested veteran and he has been cut, so they do not have to wait for his contract to expire. That's when all the free agents that are set to be talked to during the legal tampering period will be talked to. When you're cut, if you're a vested veteran, you automatically become a free agent right away. And a vested veteran is a player with 3 or more than 3 years experience in the NFL. Anyone who isn't a vested veteran has to go through waivers so that they can be selected in order that is set following the draft order from worst team to the best team. But like I said, Wilkerson's a vested vet, so he didn't have to go through waivers. So he instantly became a free agent yesterday when the Jets cut him. Who's going to be starting quarterback in Minnesota? I know that a lot of media reports are talking about Kirk Cousins, and he's clearly an option there, but what happens if they don't get Cousins? That's my big question. Are they bringing Bridgewater back? Because all three of their quarterbacks are set to be free agents. They've clearly cooled on Case Keenum. With Bradford, with the knee, they seem to have moved on from that. So I don't know. Maybe they bring one or more of those guys back. It's going to be very interesting to watch. What do you think about Mike Gesicki? I think he's a really interesting specimen. Obviously had a great combine. Been watching a little bit more of his tape this week. Not much of a blocker, not a great route runner, but man, he can fly. He does a good job of setting guys up. Like I said, I don't think he's a great route runner, but he does have a good knack for setting guys up and able to create separation and get open. He's got some twitch, some suddenness that you like, and obviously he can get up and go get it anywhere on the field. So I think it's going to be one of those guys that if he falls kind of in the right spot value-wise for the Packers, I wouldn't be surprised to see them draft him, but it's not somebody I expected them to go after early. Let's see. I didn't understand that. Sorry. How do you think the Badgers basketball look in 2019? Man, I don't know. I barely watch any college anything. Not a chance for Janis as a starter. Correct. When does A-Rod sign his deal after Cousins gets signed? Yeah, most likely. He's going to wait for Cousins to set the market. I still think he'll probably wait even longer than that. He'll probably wait for Matt Ryan's deal to get done as well. But you never know. Fully guaranteed deal offered to Cousins from Minnesota. 3 years, $91 million is guaranteed. Everybody in the legit media that I have talked to and that have put it out there, either on NFL Network or ESPN, says there is nothing to that report. I know Chris Cooley was yapping his flap there on the radio the other day about it, but from what I can tell, there's no substance to that. Will the Packers bring back Dial for another season? Not if they can upgrade. Now maybe they try it, if they think they need the body. But I think they can do better. Will Geronimo Allison have a bigger role this year? I think he'll be fighting for a spot. I think there's a good chance that they draft another wide receiver. And don't forget about guys like D'Angelo Yancey and Michael Clark. I think he's going to be pushed. Sam Shields, Christopher, I highly doubt it. He's one hit away from losing another season. I don't see how you can pay money to a guy who doesn't play special teams, who you could lose at any minute. So if Cobb leaves, we draft a receiver? I don't think Cobb is leaving, and I still think they draft a receiver, yes. Tight end position worries me. You? Well, the only thing I worry about is my children. It doesn't worry me. They just need bodies. They definitely need to upgrade there. If that's what you mean, yes, that's what they need to do. There's no doubt about it. The cupboard is pretty bare. Now I know they've been talking to Richard Rodgers about a return, and that's one step, but they have to improve there, and that's only going to happen through free agency and the draft. Who goes one? That sounds like Darnold's a done deal, which I kind of find surprising, but everyone I trust and everyone I talk to, that's who the Browns are zeroed in on. Let's see. What's going on with Guyon? Are the Packers on the hook for any money? No, the Packers are fine as far as Guyon goes. I know he's in some trouble now again. I saw that on TMZ for the birthday debacle out in Hawaii. Landry at 14 is a great pick. Your thoughts on him? I really like him. It really depends. It's fun. I've been talking to a bunch of guys around the league in the past week since the combine, and the opinions are really split on him and Davenport. And I know those names get mentioned a lot in conjunction with the Packers because clearly the Packers need help with their pass rush. But man, there are people who think he's a top 15 talent. There are people who think he shouldn't be chosen until late in the second day. They're odd, but we're talking about Landry and Davenport. It's not quite that wide a split, but it's still very much people who think he's, a top 10 pick and people who think, second rounder. So Yeah, I like Landry a lot. I think his 2016 tape is what you need to watch. I know he had a disappointing 2017. Everyone thought he should have came out a year early. I still really like him. I get why people don't. It'll be interesting to see how a team values him and if the Packers value him enough to take him at 14. Again, without knowing their grade on him, it's impossible to say. Marty B got released by the Pats. Does that impact our cap? No, it does not. Do we try to make a run at Nate Solder? No. No, he's going to want to play left tackle, and the Packers have a left tackle in David Bakhtiari, one of the best in the league. Will Doherty share a house in Jerrytown at the draft? I don't know about all that. How best to free up cap space? The best 3 things that the Packers can do to free up cap space are extend Aaron Rodgers' deal, which can give them up to $15 million in cap space immediately, and reducing his cap hit. Extend Clay Matthews by 2 or 3 years, taking his cap hit down from, I think, $11 or $12 million down to like 3 or 4. And then probably restructuring Jordy Nelson. You do those 3 things, you've got a lot more to work with. Does Arden Key slide into the 2nd round? It all depends on which evaluator you're talking to. I know outside of Chubb, every one of these guys as perimeter edge rushers have got their detractors and they've got their champions. And it really depends on who you're talking to and which scout is talking to you about what they want and what they like and what they don't. I think Key, Landry, Davenport should all be day 1 picks. But there's a chance that one or maybe even all of them aren't day 1 picks. I tend to think that won't happen, but I won't be surprised if it does. Who will take a bigger jump next year, King or Josh Jones? Whew, that's a good question. Oh, man. I'm going to go with Josh Jones because I think he's going to be asked to do more things he's comfortable doing. I think early in the year when you saw him playing around the line of scrimmage more, what he's comfortable doing, that's where he belongs. That's where his skill set is enhanced the best. Late in the second half of the year when he was asked to play out in space deep, I mean, he just looked completely lost. Now, some of that may be the scheme, but some of that is just who he is as a player. He's much better down in the box, taking on tight ends, blitzing the quarterback, going sideline to sideline, tracking guys down. That's his game. So I think if Pettin is true to his word and molds his scheme/defense around the players on hand, rather than asking him to do stuff they're not good at, yeah, I think Josh could take a big jump. Derwin top 10? Yes, I think so. When's Wilkerson's flight coming in? It came in. He's having dinner with the Packers probably as we speak. Or maybe it's a little early, time zone-wise here. But he is having dinner with the Packers tonight and then has his official meeting tomorrow. Is House worth re-signing? I can't even speak. All players have value, so I think it's worth it to keep the lines of communication open there. But I think the Packers have to upgrade. House is what he is. He's a guy who's very inconsistent. He can give you some good plays, but he's also going to get beat. You can't count on him if you want to field a championship defense. That's my thought process. I think, like I said, all players have value, and he's definitely worth keeping around if the idea is he's a depth player. The problem is he's not really a special teamer. So you can't have a guy sitting on the bench and not starting for you or not playing even in your nickel and dime on a heavy rotational basis if he's not contributing on special teams, which is what they need to do to justify it. So I think they have to upgrade there. See, and then someone chimes in with House is trash. I mean, save for the plays I can show you where he's making great interceptions on Drew Brees and defending Julio Jones. Yeah, you're right. He's trash. You guys, you got to be better than that. It's so dismissive and so just insulting to these professionals who play this game at the highest level in the world. They're better at this than you and I will probably be better at than anything. It's just, man, elevate your life. Elevate your your discourse. Let's see, Rollins going to get cut? Adrian, I think that it's a possibility. You know, an Achilles injury is really tough to come back from. He had a really rough season last year, even prior to the injury. I can't imagine looking at his tape last year. I mean, he never had the speed to begin with, and now he's going to be coming back from an Achilles injury. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to see him making the 53 next year. I got to assume they're going to shop in free agency at corner. They're gonna obviously look to the draft to improve and get some more talent in the room. I think he's a real long shot. Let's see. Who is the next Packer Hall of Fame Butler signed jersey time? Yeah, I think Leroy Butler is the next one who, you know, Packer Nation should be rallying around. If you read Ryan Wood's piece on PackersNews.com a little while ago, he's definitely deserving. He's definitely ready for it. I think, you know, obviously Charles Woodson is the next former Packer who will go in. But Butler's the one that people need to start being vocal about, because it's absolutely absurd that he's not in the Hall of Fame. It's not only is it absurd he's not in the Hall of Fame, it's absurd he can't even make it as a semifinalist. You know, John Lynch is getting debated in the room, but Leroy Butler isn't. It is patently absurd that those things are happening. Do you think the Packers make any big trades? You know, it all depends on what you define as big. Do I think they're going to make huge, you know, franchise-altering trades? No. Do I think they may make some kind of, you know, lower-level depth-type trade? Sure, that's a possibility. They may maneuver up and down the draft board during the draft, make trades in that way, but I don't see, you know, it's hard just because most of their guys who are tradable, as far as their names go, you know, or their games go even, they've got some significant cap hits. So I can't imagine a team wanting who the Packers have on offer. And likewise, turning around, I can't see Gutekunst at the outset of his tenure as general manager wanting to start it by giving away assets to go get a veteran player who he's got to, you know, turn around and put in a new system. Now, unless it's somebody who, you know, Mike Pettin says, this guy is really worth it, he's going to help turn around our defense, then maybe that happens, but I don't know who that would be. What's up with Jari Evans? Christian, he's set to be a free agent. When we spoke to him after the Detroit game, Week 17, he did indicate that he was thinking about retiring, but he also didn't dismiss the idea of coming back and playing one more year. I tend to think the Packers are going to want to move on. You know, that was very much a stopgap signing, and I think it was a really good one. One of the better free agent signings last year across the league. But, you know, I think they clearly will want to go younger and want to find the guy to you know, plug in there for the next few years. Do I think Montgomery makes a move to tight end? No. If Saquon Barkley falls below the top 10, does Green Bay trade up for him? I doubt it. If Gutekunst is anything like Thompson when it comes to his valuation of running backs, I understand Barkley is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. But, yeah, no, I don't see that happening. Sign Bao-Ju. We got a Bao-Ju reference. This has been the best chat ever now. Richard Sherman, Kyle, not going to happen at $11 million, which is what he's due next year. Vince Beagle to defensive end. Whew, I don't see that, especially in a 3-4. But they just need to get him on the field. The offense need upgrades too. Well, I think it definitely needs speed. That's why a couple weeks ago I was, you know, kind of not pounding the table. I don't know what you call it. I was suggesting politely to the Packers that they look at John Brown, soon to be former Cardinals wide receiver, obviously coming off an injury last year, but he's got the kind of deep speed that Rodgers has almost never played with. He could cause some damage in the Packers offense. Now, the problem is they can't go out and, you know, shell out a bunch of money in free agency. And I don't suspect they will, given the fact that they just gave Devontae Adams $10 million per. But, yeah, I agree that you can't be stagnant on the offensive side of the ball. You're always getting better, or you're always getting worse. We talked to Brian Gutekunst last week. Very specifically, I can't remember who it was, but someone asked him, so you feel okay at wide receiver? And, you know, Brian point blank said, you never feel okay. you never feel like you're set. You're always looking to get better. You're always exploring avenues. Now, some of that is GM speak, obviously, but I tend to believe, I take him at his word there. I do not doubt for a second that he will be looking to use like every asset available to try and find some kind of change up on the offensive side of the ball, because they've got a lot of good players, but they don't have a game breaker. Aaron Jones could maybe be that guy, but even Aaron Jones is not a guy that defensive coordinators are sitting up at night worrying about how to stop. Right now, that's Aaron Rodgers. Clearly one of, if not the best quarterback in the game. But around him, you got a lot of good to maybe even really good football players, but you don't have anybody that you put the ball in their hand and it's, oh my gosh, you could take it to the house on any single play. They don't have that guy. Now, maybe, most likely they got to try and find that guy in the draft. But, yeah, I agree. You can't just think of it as we've got to improve the defense. You've got to improve the offense as well. Do you think Lacey will be on a team next year? No, I don't. Do you think Davis is headed out of town? I think it's a possibility. His time at wide receiver has been inconsistent, I would say. And you saw last year, lots of issues in the return game. Obviously had the one big kind of breakout return that helped save the Cleveland game. But along the way, on the road to get there, you had a whole lot of questionable decision-making in regards to his punt return abilities. So I think they got to look to upgrade there. And I think, yeah, there's a good possibility he doesn't make the 53. How much and how long do you think Rodgers gets in his new deal? I think 4 or 5 years. I think he'll approach, I think he'll easily clear 30 a year. I think he could, even approach 100 million guaranteed. Calvin Johnson, no. Let's come back from fantasy football world. Need to restructure some contracts and make room before free agency? Well, they've got a week to do it. What is the future at long snapper? Whew, Peter, good question. They've always kind of brought back Brett Good, but you do got to wonder, it's his third go around now. They've continually tried to go younger there, tried to find the next guy, so to speak, and have been unable to do so. I think they're going to continue to try. I think they'll look at most likely some undrafted guys. They'll look in the undrafted free agent pool. They'll look in free agency. Maybe they give Good a call back, but yeah, that's something they'll continue to try and get younger at. Something up with Honey Badger in Arizona. Matthew, it's a possible, he's a very, very well could be a cap casualty down there in Arizona, which is always surprising to me because they seemingly just re-signed him. But, yeah, his cap hit's coming up, and it's possible. New coaching staff, new schemes, maybe they can move on. If they do so, yeah, I think the Packers would be unwise not to give a call in. Now, I think he's going to get paid a whole lot of money somewhere on the open market. I don't think that's going to be in Green Bay. But maybe the allure of playing, with Aaron Rodgers, chance at a ring, etc., maybe that gets to him. But, yeah, I tend to think he's going to get paid elsewhere. Aaron Jones is not an every down back, right? Deborah, not at this moment, at the end of the year, he wasn't. But I tell you what, if he improves in pass protection, he could be. He very well could be. I was talking to a running backs coach in Indianapolis last week at the Combine. He was asking me about Aaron Jones. And I said, what I just told you, I think if he just gets pass pro down, yeah, he could absolutely be their workhorse. And NFL history is littered with guys who came out of college unable to pick up pass protection their rookie year, who went on to become very good pass protectors in the league. The example I always use is Brandon Jackson, who his rookie year was one of the, if not the worst pass protecting running back I had ever seen in my life in the NFL. And he went on to become the best pass protector the Packers have probably ever had in the backfield. Obviously helped them win the Super Bowl against Pittsburgh. Guys can pick it up. Guys, if it's up, it's really up to them. And if he can do that, if Jones can do that, puts that together, no doubt in my mind he can be a 3-down back. Clark to tight end, good idea. No, man, he'd be destroyed against defensive ends. Let's see. Fitzpatrick, best cornerback. Yeah, Benjamin, I guess, he's obviously incredibly talented. I know he didn't work out today at the Alabama Pro Day. He was ready, he's more than happy to let his combine, sit there as his calling card for his athleticism. As a pure corner, though, I wouldn't say that Ward's not as good, Even Josh Jackson. I think they passed that test on the perimeter. Where Fitzpatrick is so much better than everybody else is that he can do everything. I mean, he played everywhere on that defense, and he was asked to do everything, and he did it all well. So in this age of specialization and multiple looks and fronts that are meant to confuse the quarterback, he's a real kind of chess piece that you can move around and confuse the offense and mess with their protections and mess with the quarterback, his keys pre-snap. You drop him down in the box. Okay, here he comes. Wait a second, he rotates out to the deep middle third. Oh, I thought they were blitzing. Now they're in cover 3. That's the kind of stuff that he helps with immediately just by stepping on the field. So that's why I think he'll go top 10. He's a real talent, and he's going to be I think, a pretty special player in the NFL. Any chance Graham to Green Bay? Well, Brian, I think there's a chance. I think it's slight. I think he's going to get paid on the open market. I think he's going to get a lot of money, and I don't think that's going to be in Green Bay. How many quarterbacks go in the top 10? Peter, I'm going to go with 4. Revis? No, you don't want Revis. Just look at his last play in that playoff game against the Titans, where he literally gives up on 3rd down. On the play that would have saved their season, he gives up. It's a mercenary, man. You don't want that on your team. To leave to Green Bay if released. If released, I think they've got a shot. I think they have to make that call. I'm not saying they're going to get in a bidding war for the guy, but that's someone they should pursue if he is released. I don't think they would trade for him, but they definitely have to take a look. All right, everybody, I'm going to jump. Thank you so much for all the questions. I'm sorry if I didn't get to yours. They fly by really quick. Lots of great ones. Thanks as always. I'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest. We'll have all the latest on the Mo Wilkerson visit, which is ongoing. It's going to be happening tomorrow. So make sure you're checking PackersNews.com. We'll have it all for you. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good night.